And a lot of these folks whom I've worked with over the last decades, whom I've helped actually advance in their lives and their businesses, they've also come in and joined me in that journey of giving and paying it forward. I have a mission to have 1,000 plus people getting onto this path of giving and sharing for improving the lives of over 10 million souls collectively.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another round, another time around the lap of High Stakes with Steve Rozenberg. You know, you've heard me say this before. One of the reasons I love doing this show is I can't tell you how valuable human capital is in relationships. And, you know, myself being a pilot, flying all over the world for the last 30 years, being to almost every continent except Antarctica and almost every major city in the world, the one thing I've learned is it's all made up of people and everyone is different. And whether you're sitting in a coffee shop in Munich or a bar in Sydney or having sushi in Tokyo, the person next to you has a past, they have a current, and like myself, we all have a future that we don't know is going to happen yet. And if you don't take the time to actually just turn and go, hey, what's your story? You'll never know. And some of those conversations turn into friendships, sometimes lifelong friendships, sometimes business relationships. But my point is we go through life so much that we forget to stop and actually ask the person next to us, what's your deal? So that's why I created this show, is so that you can kind of get to know other people that are around you that you may not normally go. My guest today, he may walk by you on the street. You'd never know his story. You'd never know what he's done, his past, his current, or his future, because you never asked. So I'm going to ask, and you're going to get to know him as well as I. So Mahesh, first of all, thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Steve. I'm excited to be here, honored, and I just love listening to how you talked about yourself and the show because it's all about those travels and those special moments that we create, and that makes life worth living.
It does. It does. So give us the 30-second bio high flying overview of you.
Wow, I'm giving a high flying overview to a pilot today. Exciting.
Yes.
I'm Mahesh M. Thakur. I'm based here in the Bay Area. I spent over 2 decades at Microsoft, Amazon, GoDaddy, and Intuit. And I spent this time as a leader working under pressure, delivering under pressure at these billion-dollar tech giants. And today, I am spending time as an executive coach for those very same leaders or similar leaders who are in my shoes, walking my shoes today, to spend the time and share with them some of those lessons I've learned while navigating high stakes situations.
Oh, I like that. Okay, now let's cut to the real you. That's the story of you. Now,
Ooh.
the person I'm looking to today, if we didn't know any of that, if I didn't know about GoDaddy and all the things that you've done, the accolades, without the resume, who are you?
Without the resume, who am I? Great question, Steve. I consider myself a person who's a spiritual soul, who's here to travel and to experience and to connect. At the deepest level, I love traveling. I love connecting and getting to know people. I love trying out new food. I love sharing. I love sharing wisdom. And I also love, I'm into philanthropy a lot, paying it forward.
Yes.
So, what I love to do is I love to share a pie of what I have, what I make, and a lot of these folks whom I've worked with over the last decades, whom I've helped actually advance in their lives and their businesses, they've also come in and joined me in that journey of giving and paying it forward. I act secretly and not so much secretly anymore. I have a mission to have 1,000 plus people getting onto this path of giving and sharing, and therefore reach a certain goal that we have for improving the lives of over 10 million souls collectively in the next 10 years.
I love that. Tell me, I'm guessing you've gone through some trials and tribulations in your life. I'm
Mhm.
guessing they weren't all sunshine and rainbows, and you probably had some challenges. Is there a point in your life that you had a challenge that no one really knows about, you never talk about, but it kind of changed everything about you.
Steve, it's a great question. There are so many things that are uncomfortable and they happen to you, and there's not anybody who can give you a playbook and say, here's what you're going to have, or here's what's going to come up. Unlike on a freeway, like exit ahead in 1 mile. This is not how it is. So let me bring an example of when I became a vice president for the first time. So
Okay.
this was when I was at GoDaddy. And during that time, Steve, being new in this role, it also came with the responsibility of making sure that everything about the profit and loss, the P&L or the business unit that I was managing, was done in a way which was both scalable and forward looking. And right around that time, Steve, as I was just getting a good grip on it, building my relationships, COVID hit. COVID really was sort of a huge disruptive force. So no matter who you are, whether you're a small business owner, you're an exec, COVID actually just turned your life around. And it was a complete shock. So for some time, there was not even anybody that I could just talk to, because some things you only can discuss with your peers, your colleagues, your board members in person. So all of a sudden, when I'm new into this role, where I have this capability or luxury, if you will, to fly into any location and meet folks, that turned into Zoom only or phone only conversations. So to me, I then had to put in a lot of effort, or probably 10x more effort, to figure out connecting with people, getting that information. And while I was being a vice president for the first time, I was actually forced to learn and try and experiment things and come up and do things in new ways. And yes, it was challenging in ways where people had not experienced what does COVID even mean? Do we have a vaccine? And during that time, I'm doing three things. I'm actually improving the culture of the organization because they had had a very difficult past. I'm improving the culture and the confidence that the team has. I'm trying to focus on the core metrics that we all need to focus on, and at the same time launch disruptive products. So doing this while being forced into a very disconnected, not in-person environment was one of the biggest um, moments of truth, if you will.
So let me ask you this: going through this, right? This is obviously COVID was, not something anyone planned. Um, were there moments when you thought, you know what, I'm calling it. I'm going to quit. It's not worth it. It's not like I'm battling something like. I think as entrepreneurs, we want to see what's in front of us. Like I think as entrepreneurs, we are bred for battle, right? This is what we want to see what's in front of us, and we want to know. With COVID, we couldn't really see it. We couldn't, it was the government, it was their mandates. There was no logic to it. So it was like an endless battle of, they would come up with a rule or a saying or an issue. California obviously was very strict on that. So you couldn't fight it. Was there a point ever when you're like, I don't need this? Like, I'm calling it.
Yeah, I will. I'll basically go back to a point where we had three different product lines which were contributing to our P&L, and there was one which was not necessarily doing well. And I definitely had to have, I was investing more time than usual, or more disproportionately more time, and significantly less coming from it. And at
Sure.
that point, yes, I just wanted to either quit that product line or do something about it so that we immediately see a better tomorrow or a clearer tomorrow. So yeah, I was on the verge of quitting, especially with that product line, and I had to pause, actually slow it down, go deep internally into my own soul searching mode to go, what is it about this situation, about this product, about this organization that is sucking up so much time, so much energy. And I had to go back to some of my own experiences back at Microsoft as an example, where I had dealt with similar or much bigger stakes, really distributed, geographically distributed teams. So I had to go back to remind myself of some of my own experiences and then slow it down, because what was happening in that environment was there was chaos, there was noise, and again, the fact that you're disconnected, the fact that you can't meet and get together because the
Right.
chemistry is different when you meet. So yes, there were times where I had to decide and I had come this close to giving it up.
Okay, so let's just sit right there for a second because I've got a question that I know I've dealt with a lot.
Mhm.
We all as entrepreneurs, we all have a plan until we get punched in the face, and we're like, wow,
We all
that
do.
hurt. I wasn't planning that, right?
Correct.
Um, was there ever a time when this was going on? COVID's going, things are just not working out. And I'm not sure if I'm asking the question right, but I'm just going to ask it. A lot of times we're like, poor me. It's not working for me. And we take a situation and we turn it into about us as opposed to a bigger situation of everything. And I know I've done that personally where I'm sitting there going, man, like people don't seem to like me. It's like, no, there's an economy issue going on. It has nothing to do with you,
Correct.
Steve. There's a bigger picture. Have you ever had that where, and again, these are just things that we think in our head. I'm just saying it out loud. Did you think that at all during that time frame?
Absolutely, Steve, because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm new in this role. This had to happen now. How could I not have met all these people personally, build that rapport, which I'm so good at, and then actually have the vantage point of knowing deep within what's going on in people's mind, in their hearts, in the organization, with stakeholders, with customers. So, yeah, you can imagine in a new executive role, Steve, those listening tours that you do, those ask me anythings. Yes, I was in process doing those, and that's when it got all got disrupted. So I definitely felt like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. I'm hurt. I'm impacted. So you get too micro into your head, and those
Yeah.
moments happen to me, Steve.
Yeah, we start saying, "Oh, this always happens to me," and then we have our own
Yes.
little pity parties, and they're like, "Dude, like the whole world is shifting right now," and you're like, "Yeah, but me, I can't this, whatever that is."
Because you're having that myopic view of your problem, and
Yeah,
you're absolutely, that's your job. You're looking at that problem, and that problem is the entire, means the entire world to you. And that's
yeah,
exactly where you catch yourself doing that over and over, and it's definitely not helpful. You could
yeah,
do it on a Friday night, but try doing that 7 days a week and it's going to hurt you. So that's where you got to figure out, like, hey, the macro view is much bigger. The If when it's disconnected for everybody. If
yeah,
there's new people joining after me, even they are remote. The CEO is remote. The customer care employee, they don't get any guidance, and they have to take credit cards for the first time. Many of the companies had to take card. The employees were allowed to take card information, as an example, because the systems were not working. So there
yeah.
were, I read about case studies outside of our company that there were exceptions being made for businesses to run. So there were many such scenarios where, when you look at the macro view, literally everything was disrupted.
Yeah, you have to scale the unscalable sometimes, right? It's say, well, this isn't scalable, but you know what? We're doing it today, and then we'll see how it goes tomorrow. Um,
Exactly.
take
One day at
take
a
me,
time.
yeah. So whether it was that point or another point from your your whole lifespan as an entrepreneur, if you can just think for a second, I want to just kind of sit in the pain a little bit of a low point, whether it's personally in your life or in your business. And my question for people that always want to know is, what did that version of you believe in when you were at this point in your life?
When I'm at a low point, or when I was at a low point, that version believed that this is how much my capacity is. I felt like I am at a point where I have tried everything, I've done everything, and this is it. That's how capable I am, or this is my capacity. That was at the lowest point.
Huh. Is there is there anything that you had to let go of in your thought process to actually level up? Sometimes we think doing more. I don't think being successful is doing more. I think sometimes we have to stop doing some things.
Correct.
Stop being around people, stop having certain beliefs, stop it. So I think it's a an addition by subtraction to success. So I'm
It
just
is.
curious for you, what did you have to let go of to get out of that spot?
Steve, you know what? You're right. It's never about doing more, because doing more can keep you busy in ways in which you can hallucinate and think you're moving towards something. Whereas in reality, you doing more is only going to get only going to get you more mentally, physically exhausted, or create more noise in the system without any real progress. And so one of the key systems that I built for my own self during that time of chaos was just figuring out how can I lower the noise not just outside of me but also within me.
Okay.
Oftentimes, this is about seeking clarity within to find the answers. And I call it my Zen state. What I mean by that is finding that absolute calm, disconnecting myself from conversations, phone, what have you. I could do it for an hour or I could do it for 8 hours. But in reality, what I'm doing is I'm shutting everything down so that I can see with clarity what matters and why. Once I can see that with clarity, the answers start coming to me. It's been profound. I will tell you that I felt that way back in Bing. So if I take you back to my Microsoft Bing days, Steve, we were trying to compete with Google, 100 people team whose core mission is to take market share from Google. And we did. In many ways, we became the second search engine in the world. We started from nowhere and went up all the way top. The pressure, the stress, the rigor back in the day was just unimaginable. And this is where Bill Gates is personally involved in making this project successful, where for him it's less about money, how much money, it's more about winning, winning, winning. And what's the formula to win? What's the science? What's the art? How do you work with a huge R&D team at Microsoft, get the insights, and compete with the likes of Google? So during that time, I had figured out how to slow down while still working 16, 17, 18 hours a day, where it's you have to make a choice between remaining silent or sleeping. So that's the time I had a chance to dig deeper within myself and have that really good discipline to think clearly. And fast forward many years from there, when I actually became a vice president at GoDaddy, I remembered that that's one thing which I have within me, where if I can slow it down, go back and recall my Zen state, I have those answers or I will get to those answers. But there is no right or wrong. There is only so much people are going to tell you, and there's only so much that is there if you do research. At some point, you have to have the clarity, you have to have the wisdom, your own wisdom, and finally make the call or make the decision. You do not know if the outcome is going to be the best outcome. Looking back, hindsight is always 2020, Steve. But then if you can get to that level of clarity, I would say that's when those are the moments where I realized like there's something within me that's going to allow me to think through, not just for me but for the business, and most importantly for the teams that I've managed.
So if you were to sum up that whole experience, creating Bing and working, long hours and having all that, if you were to sum it up in one word, like how would you describe that? First word that comes to mind.
Intense.
Intense. Interesting. Would you do it again?
Oh, I would love to do it again.
Is it the thrill of the hunt? Is it the rush? Is it the camaraderie? Like, is it what do you remember that you would go, man, I freaking loved that?
Camaraderie was awesome, the team was great. But what happens is when you have this huge mountain to climb, um, when you have that challenge, what you realize is you're achieving something which you earlier thought was not even possible. So you're doing this as a team, and the team is comprised of amazing, very smart people way smarter than I was. So to surround yourself with people smarter than you and achieve something which you alone couldn't have, but you collectively did, I think that's something which makes you feel alive, and that's why I would love to do it again.
Okay, so now here's my question. Based on that, that was I'm guessing you walked in to this team and probably nobody really knew what was forming, right? It's something special, kind of like a football team that goes to the Super Bowl, right? Nobody really knows what is forming. Oh, hang on one second. Oh, sorry.
You got the file? I'm going. Oops, I lost your audio.
Yeah, hang on. Give it 1 second. Let me
Take
just
your
hack the
time.
clock here. They're changing out the smoke alarms in the studio. So okay, we're good. Okay,
Your
it may
questions
go
are
again. We'll see.
so amazing
That's
that
being
they're
an
turning the
entrepreneur,
alarm
right?
on.
Okay, so you're building this team, right? Based on building this team that you didn't really know was being this Super Bowl team was forming. Here's my question. I'm guessing a big portion, not all of it, but probably a reason you became vice president of other companies is probably because of your track record.
Mhm.
How do you instill that same passion in a new team that doesn't really know what was constructed? Or how do you do that when you're coaching people? Because you can't coach passion. You can coach skill, but you can't create passion in people. So how did you transfer that emotion to people as you excelled in other industries or in other businesses to recreate what you had?
So great question, Steve. And you're right. You can never coach passion. You can coach other things or you can coach skills, but not the passion part. So
Yep.
one of the core beliefs I have is that you need two things. One, you need a very strong purpose. And the second is you need a lot of clarity around that purpose. Once those two happen, they will ignite passion. So that's been my mantra all along, whether I'm coaching leaders or their teams during an offsite. One of the ways that I bring out that passion is that I make sure they fully align the purpose. As an example, when I was at Intuit, we were all about making sure small businesses survive and don't die because of financial turbulence. So we were on a mission to save these small businesses and therefore so many families who were dependent on those small businesses to run successfully. Once we became clear about that purpose, from there, what followed was clarity in terms of what's a product going to do, how is it going to help them, how little is the cost of the product in front of the impact compared to the impact that we'll deliver, and how and when will the customer during the entire year, whether it is before taxes, after taxes, whatever time span do they get in, what is a life cycle of the customer, and what is a lifetime value that we deliver to the product. Once that became clear, we became extremely passionate, not just about launching a certain feature, but just making sure the customers are experiencing excellence across their lifetime, across the journey.
I love that. I love that. So tell me about your passion now.
My passion now
Like, what do you
is
get up and fight for every day?
I get up and fight to make sure that the leaders who are working with me, I'm helping them navigate what they are facing in terms of their environment they are with, in terms of their stakeholders, their stakeholder relationships. So, given that I've had 20 plus years in big tech, I've had a lot of experiences myself. I've been an operator and now I'm a master certified coach in what is called stakeholder centered coaching, SCC. So, being that person, I fight to make sure that the leaders whom I work with and their teams, they remain aligned, they navigate whatever it is the environment that they're in or the customer landscape, they navigate that effectively and that they get to the results they want. Because if they're successful, that means their company, their product, their business line, they're all going to be successful.
What do you find when you go into these companies? Smart people, accomplished people, right? I mean, they're not lazy, they're not dumb, they don't. It's not that they don't have hard work ethic. They do. Why are they failing? Or
So
why are they
what
challenged? They may not be failing, but why are they challenged?
what people don't admit often is that even though they are smart, they might be lacking some skills. As an example, you can hire some very strong, very sophisticated senior vice presidents or executive vice presidents. But if they're not collaborating with each other, there's a problem there. You can hire the best CTO, the chief technology officer. But if the chief technology officer is not having a team which is being upfront about how to unwrap the full power of AI for the company, they're going to fail. If you have a very strong CEO in place, but if that CEO is not making it super clear what their mission is, why they are here, and also not sharing their goals openly. Imagine if the CEO has not shared their goals, that means the C suite and therefore every manager is not aligning with their goals. So that's a third problem that I address. So collaboration, alignment, and how do you shape an organization in this era of AI? How do you structure? How do you position? How do you shape an organization? Those are the
Is
things
it
that I find.
is it lack of information or lack of implementation that causes people to fail?
It's a lack of shared information, shared alignment. They all are listening to what they want to listen to, even in an offsite or even in a ask me anything. And they will then create silos, or leaders go create their silos. And that comes to hurt the company because the chief security officer may be expecting something different from the chief operations officer. And if they are not aligned with the CEO and they are going and doing their own things with their 300 people organization, that will create challenges, if not now, 6 months from now. And when that happens, it's going to stall many of the things that the CEO or the chief revenue officer may have planned.
So when a business is failing, there's I have learned, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that there's a recipe. There's a recipe to fail, and there's a recipe to succeed. Kind of like baking a cake. Kind of like getting in your car. There's a law of sequence. There's sequence events that have to happen, which same in flying an airplane, same in building a business. There's a
Yeah.
sequence of events that have to happen. Where do you find the sequence of events typically fails when it comes to a business? Or is it one thing? Is it lack of implementation of certain things? If you're in tech AI, I'm wondering if a lot of these people do not value marketing as much as they do systemization. Or do you find industries have strengths and weaknesses?
I think that the while I may not have the sequencing right across different industries, the one thing I will say is that the theme that I'm seeing is there might be some division who might say the other division is not needed, or we can lower the headcount in the other division because there's AI. And that causes a lot of friction in the company. As an example, IT is number one in embracing AI because they are the front runners. However, if the CFO comes around and says, well, we now have to let half of the IT team go, well, guess what? You're not helping the manufacturing team or the marketing team embrace AI anymore by seeing what you just did to IT. So, that to me is where people are being catastrophic because the moment you say AI is going to help me save costs, it's game over. Steve, it's game over.
Sure.
You need to replace that pattern or interrupt that pattern by saying AI is going to help our company grow and gain market share. By being that kind of leader, you're not only in winning the confidence of your own people, but your own thinking about your own business and how you're approaching the leverage or the use of technology can be so much better. So that's the biggest reframe that leaders need to have within themselves and their leadership, and also in how they demonstrate what happens post the AI implementation era.
Yeah, I'm definitely not an AI expert, but I say it doesn't eliminate, it enhances a role. So it just takes your role, takes someone's role, whether they're physical or virtual, whatever, and it enhances them by giving them it's like they're on a superpower because of AI, but it's never going to replace them. Or I don't, at least I would say probably not anytime soon. Right. And so I think the fear, it's always fear of loss. Nobody likes change. I mean, I remember reading a thing and they were saying that people think of change the same way we think of being tortured. So we don't like change. We don't like when anything changes. It's the devil you know or the devil you don't know. And we're pretty comfortable with the devil we know. Even
Devil
if we
we
don't
know.
like it, we know it. And so when
Correct.
when change comes, everyone thinks what could go wrong. I'm like, but what could go right? I mean, there is a chance it could go right. I mean, like the fact that you have a phone that is updated and you're not using a dial phone back from 1980 tells me at some level you embrace technology. You use the internet as opposed to the yellow pages. You embrace technology. Use
Correct.
Uber as opposed to walking. Technology. Frictionless, reducing friction. I
Correct.
just think this is and again, I'm a very layman's person. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. So I just look at it as we're just reducing friction at another level. We're using another gear, a higher gear, to reduce friction to enhance our lives. Could it go
Correct.
wrong? It could, but couldn't it go right? I'm betting on it going right. In my mind, that's where I'm betting my money. So that's my
Correct.
perspective of it for what it's worth.
Yes. And Steve, I'll build on to what you just said. You know how you said that if there's AI, people are going to level themselves up, employees will up level. And so what will happen is now you're doing your job much more efficiently in a better, faster way. So when I work with CEOs and when I work with CIOs, chief AI officers, I make sure that even their story is getting leveled up, or that's also being told in a way where the employees can see that narrative and feel confident.
Sure.
Because if the employees get smarter, What happens is that if the CEO or if the CIO or the CTO are still talking the same talk track that they did a year ago, they're going to lose employee confidence. And what's even worse is that they are not fully leveraging these employees who are now better, smarter, and augmented by AI, which can
Yeah.
take the company backwards. And now they can still blame it on AI or blame it on competition. Whereas in reality, AI did not just need for the employees to level up, but also for the C-suite to level up, for the
Yep.
board to level up. And
Yep.
that leveling up is not just saying I'm going to win big, it's also saying I'm going to trust and let my people do their job. The
Love that.
moment these people create silos, like the C suite is doing something, the board is planning something, and the employees are doing something else, that's exactly when friction starts and the trust gap begins. And
Yeah.
that to me is the starting point of all friction.
Hmm.
So the moment you say AI, it's not just for the employees to level up, it's for the C suite and the board to realize that now is your time to level up the game, the strategy, the potential of what they can and should be doing and must be doing over the next 1, 3, 5 years.
Love it. So as we kind of round this out, what are you doing now?
So, Steve, right now I'm doing a few things. I'm spending time coaching the C suite and the board and the
Awesome.
leaders on how they can actually win this game with the right strategy and right approach, whether with or without AI. They can use AI and get a lot of AI advisory services from me. Alternatively, I also coach them on what I call as a stakeholder centered coaching, SCC. I work with Dr. Marshall Goldsmith, who's the number one executive coach in the world, and I'm the master certified coach in that organization. There's only 15 of us. What we've mastered is how do you create a very strong executive layer, which is basically fully aligned in the company, having feedback from all the right sources, so that when you're thinking and planning and doing things, they are all in alignment, no surprises, no trust gap. That's what I coach organizations on. And I also work with leaders who are directors and VPs to help them navigate what's happening inside of the tech world. So think VPs and directors at Meta, Nvidia, Google, Microsoft, Amazon. I work with them to navigate, to grow, and to get promoted in those high pressure environments.
I love that. I love that. And I wish we had more time to talk more about what you're doing. But if somebody wants to talk to you and get a hold of you, and I mean, you've got an amazing story, and we just barely tipped the surface here. How do they find you?
Steve, they can visit my website, maheshmthakur.com, and they can also go to my Calendly link. What we can do is we can put that in your show notes.
Yeah, we'll put those in the show notes. Definitely, I've been around, VC firms and PE companies and stuff several times, and it's always just amazing. I'll just say the brain power. I'm not the most intelligent person, but being an airline pilot, I'm okay. But I love talking to the people that build the planes, the engineers, the mindsets of how they get 6 miles of wiring into an airplane so that when you get in, your TV turns on and you're not complaining about the light not working. And how does all that work? And somebody had to think of it. Somebody had to buy the product. Somebody had to test it. There's just so much that has to happen. Somebody had to loan the money to do all this. And it's just, I don't think people realize all the things that go into the nuances of what we do. And it's just, I love what you do. I think it's great. And I think you provide an amazing service for people. And I am coached. I have a coach. I think everybody should have someone to help them be in a better place. And it sounds like you do that. And it's been amazing talking to you. And I appreciate your story and being vulnerable and opening up. One last question. If you're talking to someone who's watching this show right now and they're struggling, and you're talking to them as they were you back in a younger age, what should they know?
Wow, Steve. So, first of all, it's an honor to be on your show. Thank you so much for the deep and insightful questions because this became a real heart to heart conversation.
Yeah.
And even this question in the end is quite is very it's a very good question. If I were to be talking to these leaders who are struggling, the one thing I would do is remind them that leaders are never broken. Leaders are people who are just having a hard time navigate that situation that they are faced with. And at that point, all they need is some wisdom and somebody to connect with, that they can then listen and learn from, and become a better version of themselves as early as tomorrow.
There you go. I love that. We'll leave it there. Mahesh, thank you so much for your time today, being on the show. For those of you that are watching and listening, we'll have his information in the show notes. Definitely, I would look him up. I would follow him on social media, book a call with him. We can always learn. Again, you never know the person that you're talking to or sitting next to. Everybody has a story. You have a story. I have a story. Everyone has a story. You just got to ask sometimes. So thank you for being on the show. And folks, for myself and Mahesh, thank you for watching another episode of High Stakes with Steve Rozenberg. We will be back next week with another amazing guest and learning their story. So see you guys then.